Hey, what's up everyone? It's your boy Alter Tech back again with a new video. In today's video, I gotta talk about this tweet I posted on Twitter. Some people believe that the DSLR or mirrorless cameras take better photos than the iPhones, and some people are like, duh, a DSLR is obviously gonna take better photos. So the beauty of Twitter, I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's beautiful. But the form of communication is just, with our civilization, our form of communication, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, especially in the tech community. When someone disagrees with you, it's very ignorant, I'll say in some sense. You can't really have a good scientific discussion. And I could see why these smartphone companies treat these consumers as pigs, because they'll just, pretty much eat anything you feed them. They worship these brands. For example, I've seen there's been so many times a company has released a phone, a camera feature, and I'm like, this shit doesn't even. This is the same thing as last year, or this barely doesn't even work. It doesn't really do anything. For example, the OnePlus 9 Pro, was a 12-bit color system. You have 12 bits. I'm like, yes, now I could edit in 12 bits. The display is 10 bits. I can't see 12 bits unless I have a 12-bit monitor. I have to transfer the photos from that. It is whatever. But as even for the iPhone, some of the features as well, sometimes they'll have you scratching your head. Or even remember that time the Samsung Galaxy S9 came out with that variable aperture. It would open up the aperture to gather in more light. But then the camera software couldn't really handle all that light, and it was just like overblown, lights all over the place. The average consumer, they're not very educated on photography. You really have to spend some time to understand how cameras and everything worked and pay attention to the details. Now, if I were to take a iPhone to a wedding and do a photo shoot, the most likely, some people are going to be like, wow, you shot this with an iPhone? That's the kind of reaction I get when I take photos with my OnePlus, Samsungs, all these phones. Check out my website, you'll see the photos I'm talking about. Most of them are unedited. The ones that are edited, but there are very, very few. I'll actually make sure to show you that it is edited. So for the OnePlus, for this photo comparison I did, there were some obvious differences. The bokeh was just way too strong. There was too much tone on the A7 III. Now for the iPhone 12 mini, what was wrong, what I didn't like about it was that lens flare. It was too strong, so what I did was I had to manually tap on the camera app and lower down the exposure to just try to minimize it. So this is the photo in which I just pointed the camera and shot it. You guys can see that, that rainbow flare. Imagine you're trying to take a family portrait, and actually sometimes it looks nice on photos. For the most part, sometimes it doesn't work out, as you guys can see in this photo as well. But then again, photography it's subjective. But if you are actually, if photography is your hobby, you appreciate good quality photos. You appreciate the details. You appreciate less noise. You appreciate the framing of the photo, all these things. Now, this is where things are about to get really scary for photographers. The average consumer can now take a photo with an iPhone with the press of a button, and most of the time they're going to get some really good photos. And in daylight, good lighting conditions, you could really fool someone into thinking that it was taken with the DSLR. Now, unless you're just, who's going to want to go ahead and really, crop in and, inspect the photos? Now, here's the thing. In social media, there's compression. And for the most part, people aren't really blowing it up and trying to, see the fine details. People just want to know if it's a nice photo or not. And that's where the mass consumer comes. And it's very, very heartbreaking for someone like me to just see people falling for some of these gimmicks that these smartphone companies are throwing out with the cameras and whatnot, to upgrade. Now, for the most part, the tech community itself, we have a lot of people who just worship phones, worship brands, and it's very hard to have a very intellectual conversation with many of these people. Here's the thing about, like I said, with photography, the mass consumers are very uneducated when it comes to photo quality. And you could really fool people into thinking, your photos came out from a DSLR or mirrorless camera when it really came from a smartphone. And when it comes to smartphone technology with manufacturers, they know this, and there's a lot of times where they bring out some gimmicky shit, and I'm just like shaking my head, and it's like, it is what it is. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with my Sony A7 III, and I just feel I'm just tired of this rat race with these smartphone manufacturers. The camera performance for the OnePlus 9 Pro, it is better, but I know they're saving some of the good stuff for the OnePlus 10 Pro. Even for the iPhone 12 cameras, it wasn't a big jump from the iPhone 11. And for the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, they were smart enough or nice enough to add those 2 telephoto lenses. That was very important if you love telephoto photos, because, being able to zoom super far and having that extra telephoto for being focused enough to take photos within a 5 times or 3 times optical range, especially in low light situations, it makes it even more versatile. Now, the future, this is where things are just going to start to get a little bit scary. Smartphone consumers, they're going to be able to take some photos which are going to be manipulated with the algorithms and programs or apps, and it's going to make photos look really damn good. I mean, right now you're seeing it yourself. The iPhone has that, AI in it. The Pixel has a great AI system. It's able to do some really good, edge detection for portraits. HDR is amazing. Detail is amazing as well. So all the noise and whatnot is going to be digitalized, fixed up and whatnot, so it looks more sharper and cleaner. And what if we reach at a point in which this AI becomes so smart? We've seen it with Huawei, taking photos of the moon, but it wasn't really, real photos of the moon. It was actually an image of the moon actually being placed over and just, being edited. So what I actually did was I actually photoshopped some photos I would post, and I would get some really good likes, and people loved it. And when I would post, I didn't write down it was edited or photoshopped. So now every time I post a photo, I'll write down edited or unedited. So at that point, when I told people I photoshopped the clouds and whatnot, a lot of them were very angry. They're like, "Oh, so you're just like, you're a phony, you're a fake." A lot of them were Samsung fans because they were mad that I was doing that with I think it was an iPhone. So they were mad because of that. So when I started posting photos with Samsung unedited, they were really happy. But when I started posting photos with the iPhone edited, they were like, "You know what? You can't keep doing that." But these smartphone manufacturers, they're actually editing the photos for you even before you take the photo. The phone is analyzing the whole scenery. It's trying to figure out what's the best settings for your phone. When it comes to, the iPhone, trying to use that AI to, try to make things smoother, that's unnatural. So in the far future, we're going to have some crazy good looking HD photos, which are going to be artificial, and people are going to love it. They're going to be like, "Hey, I could take the same photo you can with your Sony A, whatever it is, but it's not going to be authentic. And it's not going to require the same skill set someone needs with the Sony A7 III. I mean, that was my first day with the Sony A7 III and the Sigma. I had no idea it was going to have so much bokeh or tone on that flower. Otherwise, I would have dropped the aperture to freaking 4 or 5, something like that, or even higher than that, to get the same thing with the iPhone. But again, with the iPhone, you could use an artificial bokeh effect on that same flower, and you could change the aperture as well. Well, it's not really a true aperture, it's more of an artificial aperture. So that's where the future is headed. Now, as for photographers, when people are able to take some really good photos, it's going to be hard to respect photographers, especially from the ignorance from the tech community. When they say that, "Hey, my phone takes better photos," and then I don't need to spend $3,000 or $2,000 on a camera to get that kind of photo quality. So it's a gray area. And but then again, I remember, back in the day when I started with smartphones, I was like, "Hey, I can't afford a DSLR, so I'm going to make the best out of my phones." For example, I'm recording with the Samsung Galaxy S21. This is the best phone for content creators. Great selfie camera, nice rear cameras, excellent quality, so much features. And what more could you ask for? Even the audio is pretty damn good. So OnePlus has a long way to catch up with Samsung and whatnot if they want to go head to head to them. I mean, they switched from the flagship killer to trying to be the top flagship. So, you guys have a long way to go. But I like the improvements on the OnePlus 9 Pro, but for $1,000 and $1,069, it was a hard pill to swallow. So moving forward, guys, what do you guys think? The future is coming. AI is coming. Pro photographers, what do you guys think about this? Let me know down in the comment section below. This is Altered Tech signing out. Hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Take care. Peace.